Tammy. All right, let me hear what your, phase one of your line 6 was like for you. What was that experience from like 0 to 29?
Wow, in hindsight, it looks very different than when I was actually in it. So I'm 44 years old. I'm actually just at my Uranus opposition. So I'm like feeling the pressure a little bit, a lot, of coming off the roof. But I call the line 3 the medicine woman because we collect so much wisdom and so much medicine from the life experience. It was really interesting because I'm very much like Tomas, where my first 28 years as a projector, I actually burnt out, which is, something that projectors generally don't experience until later. But I was a doer. I traveled across Canada. I lived out of a suitcase. I went from, serving in restaurants to managing hotels. I did all of the things. I really, really did. And interesting enough, my grandmother said that I was going to have a baby at 27, and I couldn't have babies. And I said, Grandma, that's not going to happen. Well, sure as shit. Um, three weeks before my 28th birthday, I had a son, which, my Saturn return made me come into my commitments and come into my healing phase and come into really settling down. And as I, settled down, moved into healthcare, as a single mom, raised my son, I really didn't understand what the healing phase was. And I truly judged myself and had so much shame for being in the bubble, being in the healing phase, because I was like, why don't I have the energy to do all the things that I used to love to do? Why do I not have the energy to be as social as I used to be? Why do I think I am so going up, right? Like, why do I think I'm so messed up? And so when I went into this healing phase, I actually really, really hunkered down into, I really got stuck and stagnant there and judged myself for that, even though I was really in a cocoon. I was really in this phase. The 6 line potential, we're always reaching potentials, right? Where we see potentials. And so that for me, there was this self-judgment of, why am I so hunkered down? That's not who I am. And so I really did the deep dive work of, energetic healing, really went into really learning about energy. And this, like I said, in hindsight, really made me understand what it is that I'm here to be, what it is that I was here to do. But I really needed that cocoon stage. I really needed to move through these emotions of shame and doubt and all of the things for me to rise above, for me to really understand, for me to get that compassion, to be able to help others. And so we really learn through our own experiences of being a line 3. And yet, as a line 6, we don't like to be in the messy middle. We like to take the bird's eye view. We like to I know as a line 6, when I'm facilitating in retreats and when I'm doing things, I like to be on the outside of things and seeing the bigger picture as opposed to being in the messiness of the line 3 expression. And so that's something that I've really, really noticed as well, being on the roof. I don't really want to put my energy in the messiness of things right now. I'm more interested in seeing the bigger picture of life as opposed to being really in it. And there's a people, profile lines that are meant to be in it, and the 6 line is designed to take that bird's eye view and see the bigger picture so that we can help guide. And, as a projector, of course, that's who I am, but really see the bigger picture for those that are in the messy middle and perhaps show potentials and possibilities of what else, inspiring what ifs as opposed to being stuck in the energy of it.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, I got something teasing my nose. It's probably my line 3 going, hey. You said something that made me remember, I guess is probably a better way of putting it, or at least it was a bit of an aha, even though it kind of is like, oh wow, that's an obvious aha. You know, when you were talking about the messiness of your line 3 phase and being in the middle of it, and then your line 6 phase being that bird's eye view, it was like, of course, because the line 3 is a very it's the intrapersonal, right? It's like, it's a very personal line being in the lower trigram, the first, second, third. It's a personal process. So yes, you're starting in those first 30, 29, 30 years, being in the personal process, learning a little bit about the mechanics of life through your own experience, and then moving on the roof and then off the roof, and being that bird's eye view and having that wisdom. Um, but it just sort of made me click a little bit deeper that, wait a second, yes, it is interesting because you do start on a very personal path. And then there's this massive shift to what, moving towards this interpersonal path as a role model. And what kind of massive shift is that? Or is it almost something like, from a life perspective, because I know a lot of us and have learned about human design a little bit later, in our lives. Like, what was that, at least looking back and kind of seeing, what was your experience in that whole transition and moving from like a personal, like you said, the mess, which ultimately you don't really enjoy in the long term. It was good when it was, right? But what was that like, and sort of that dawning of, hey, I moved from this personal, me experience to this, whoa, right? Because you were technically a 3-2 in your first 29 years. Now, on the roof, 6-2, and moving, like, as you build that wisdom, as you're already a source of wisdom for a lot of people who know you, and continuing to build that wisdom and continuing to step into that role model. Like, is there anything that is coming up for you that you wanted to comment on with regards to that?
Yes, thank you. One of the things that I really noticed moving, and right now I'm 44, so I'm kind of like, closing off the roof space, is I needed those experiences to really gain a way to heal, not only for myself, but to heal for others. Like, I truly believe that I was gifted those opportunities. And of course, it's the language that you use and the vibe, the way that you think of it. But for me, it was the self-judgment that I had for the change, the big change. And then really coming into my self-love journey of giving myself grace, of forgiving myself, of really, like I said, moving into that radical truths of who you are and loving yourself no matter what. And so being on the roof, like being in the bubble, being on the roof, is this opportunity for you to really fill up your cup, fill up your energy, do what it is that you really desire and really want to do, so that you have the energy moving forward. And so we're gifted this opportunity to do the deep dive work. Now, I'm a second line, so that deep dive is subconsciously who I am. But I think it's a necessary part of the sixth line experience. The other thing about the sixth line experience for me is that we believe in soulmates. We believe in destiny. We believe in fate. This is ingrained in us. And so when we judge ourselves for not reaching those potentials. There is a lot of compassion that is gained through the sixth line expression, because we have to have that compassion for ourselves, so for us to be able to have that compassion for others moving forward. And so it really, even though it's messy, even though there's a lot of pain and stuff that comes through it, when you get to the other side, you realize that it gave you so much more clarity, so much more wisdom, and knowing that you embody this and share it with others, like just effortlessly, naturally, because you've done the work.
Yeah, very well said. And yes, and I mean, really acknowledging human design as a tool for that awareness and validation, because frankly, it's a real PITA to to experience life not understanding your design, and especially if you've been conditioned to sort of show up as something you're not, right? Or success looks like X, and you should model that.